State of Decay is a survival zombie game, and that's pretty much all you need to know. But behind the mask of a zombie game is a surprisingly deep open world survival RPG that has so much going on. Developed by Undead Labs as a test product for a future zombie MMO, State of Decay gives you the opportunity to live out your zombie survival dreams. The initial story is somewhat obvious as you suddenly find yourself immersed in an impending zombie apocalypse and the military are struggling to keep control. You've seen it all before. From there, the player takes on the role of various survivors that you find throughout your adventure, and who all have different traits that make them important to stay alive. When you look at it, it's basically a base defense game, as a key aspect of surviving is to collect resources such as food, medicine, fuel, ammo and materials by scavenging the multitude of buildings scattered throughout the world, which can all be entered and defended. Under the hood, there is a lot going on, as materials can be used to build different structures in your home base, such as infirmaries, beds, sniper posts and storage facilities, which can also be upgraded into medical labs and research facilities. I've invested over 25 hours because I have no life, but with patience and time you can grow your base from a simple structure with adequate walls to protect your group into a fully realized militia fighting force. It's extremely impressive for an indie title to have this much content. With enough survivors, you can even relocate your base to larger areas to house the growing population, as long as you keep up with the supply rates in bigger towns inhibited by tougher infected. Once a building is cleared, it can be also turned into an outpost that can be used to store weapons and gear that can't fit into your inventory. Traps can also be set to destroy incoming hordes of infected that essentially serve as walking patrols that alert others when you're in their line of sight. The combat is rather clunky, but it serves its purpose, but very quickly you'll learn that it's almost best to avoid confrontation altogether when large groups of infected swarm you at once. Stamina depletes rapidly as almost every action requires it, but your abilities do grow as you gain XP. The game does have an adequate stealth mechanic, as you're able to sneak past enemies and even do executions to unexpected foes. There is a major emphasis placed on sound, as every move affects the radius of sound dispersion. Hammering barricades, shooting guns, making a miraculous escape from a house via the nearest window, and even how much you push the accelerator on the different engines of various cars makes you play cautiously as to not attract attention. There are also various abilities unlocked by helping different factions within the world, such as having a sharpshooter watch your back from a distance, have the local priest give you confidence that regenerates your tiredness, and even send in air raids and special forces to give you a helping hand. If a character dies, they are out of the game for good, so there is a real urgency to survival, especially when people can get sick or simply go missing during a run for supplies. There is certainly a lot to admire about State of Decay, as the overwhelming abundance of activities always keep you busy, and there are no shortages of major mistakes that can cause the life of your survivors or even your base. Visually, the game isn't all that bad. While graphically the game isn't all that good, the rays of light coming through during the morning, and even the quirky executions and other bits and pieces give the game its charm. The soundtrack is also pleasantly good, as the light-hearted piano or guitar sets the tone during a wander in the countryside, while more intense music triggers when large amounts of infected are storming your way. The game is, however, riddled with bugs and glitches that do affect the overall experience. The frame rate can drop when there's too much going on, and pop-ins are horrendously bad, sometimes causing you to even crash into a tree that came out of nowhere. But beyond the frustrating graphical hiccups, the game does run well when you take into account the ambition of such an indie title. In conclusion, State of Decay is truly the zombie game we've all been waiting for. It has a lot going on to keep you invested, as the survival gameplay and base defense make you constantly eager to go back to see how strong you can make your group. It's certainly got typical issues, but for a game that takes directly from The Walking Dead and the popularity of DayZ, it manages to come out doing its own thing. It's definitely the most ambitious indie title I've ever played, and I applaud it for living up and going beyond its original concept. If this is the start to a future MMO, State of Decay is without a doubt on the right tracks to being the best zombie game ever made. And that's saying a lot when practically every survival game these days has to contain the moaning undead.